Welcome everybody to tonight's special guest, tonight's Zoom webinar. And the topic tonight is basically the difference between competitions and exams. It came up on one of the Facebook forums about how examiners were marking versus how competition judges were marking. So this is a great opportunity to get someone to talk about that, because every single situation is different, and every single situation has a different requirement of what the adjudicators or the examiners are looking for. So I was very, very grateful that Josephine Coe agreed to come and speak on this topic tonight. Josephine is the artistic director for Joyeux Music International, which is a music competition, which I'm sure she can tell us a bit more about. And she also authored some books of alternate repertoire for the grades, which are called the Teacher's Choice Selected Repertoire, for own choice additions to the exam. So on no further ado, if we could give Josephine a round of applause, and I'll hand over.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much for inviting me for this occasion to speak on this Zoom session, and I'm certainly very happy to see everyone. Of course, we had the Joyeux Music International competition just recently ended in September, and there were like more than 200 participants, and it was rather competitive because we had many categories. We had categories for free program. We also had categories for ABR exam and examination candidates. So the outcome was that we had almost lots of them doing very, very well for the competition, and it was a very good experience for everyone, for the adjudicators, for myself, organizing the competition actually for the first time. And the main reason is that we would like to organize a competition that is not just based in Europe and America, where it's all the very, very outstanding competitors who are always competing. So we are looking at organizing competitions for students, whereby they are progressing in their learning, they're taking also music exams, and they are trying to do something more than just the regular learning process. Of course, it was difficult during COVID, because with COVID, there was no live competition. So it took quite a lot of people some time to come up with an online competition. So it took us, it was supposed to be 2020 last year, but due to COVID, so it was postponed to this year, and we finally managed to run it online very successfully. Well, it's a great pleasure to be invited here so that I can share with you more about why do we have competitions, and we would encourage students to take part in competitions. And at the same time, what are the differences between competitions and exams? And should we actually send students for competitions? So I'd like to share with you on my screen just some of my notes, and you can look at them. Firstly, when we talk about competition, the question is why take part in competitions, right? Like, what are the criteria? Or if, teachers have not sent their students for competitions before, or the students have not taken part in these competitions before. So do you want to take part in them? And how would you like to prepare for the competitions? So what are actually music competitions? I mean, for some people who are not very familiar or have not taken part, they are actually events organized for students, for amateurs, for young professionals, 17, 18, and they are becoming quite good pianists, and they would like to play something, so they play a repertoire pieces, and there would therefore be a selection process whereby people could be knocked out, and then they proceed from one round to the next round, and it could be screening rounds, and it could have 2, 3, or even more rounds. And eventually, of course, the best ones do, or the successful ones, do get the prospects of winning the prizes. So, well, there are many, many competitions nowadays, and you can find the competitions online most of the time. And these competitions are advertised, and maybe for a community, for a certain area, or within schools themselves, or inter-schools, or it could be regional. or it could be national, like in just a particular country, or it could be international. So in Australia, the very famous one is the Sydney International Piano Competition, which has run for many, many years. And some of the competitions are not just piano competitions, but they are music festivals and competitions for various instruments, for voices, for piano, for strings, and even for brasses and woodwinds. And in such competitions, people get to know a lot of people. If you attend the competitions in a non-COVID situation or pre-COVID situations, you can actually meet many friends and know many people from these events. So this just a highlight of the recent competitions now running in Warsaw is actually the 18th Chopin piano competition. It's very intense. It has started on the 2nd of October and it's running every day now to the 23rd of October, and it is very, very intense. You can actually watch it live also, and you can watch it now on Facebook, on YouTube, and the standards are just amazing and terrifying, I would say. And standards have been going up regardless of these pieces have been played by people for many, many, many years, but the standards are just going crazy. And another very difficult competition coming up next year is the Clyburn International Piano Competition. The Clyburn is considered one of the most difficult competitions in the world with many rounds, and that's taking place in the US and Texas. And of course, we know it was started by the pianist Clyburn, who won international competitions himself. Of course, on a smaller scale for students, competition, well, of course, we had the JU Music Competition, which was just over, as I've mentioned earlier, and that actually caters for students from the ages of 4 all the way to 30. So from young college students and even young professionals. And there's one upcoming in Italy, and Italy has many, many piano competitions, and this one is called the Piano Talents, and it's been run by very successful people, and many young talents have gone through this competition by the Piano Talents people, and it is again opening up in 1st November and it will close on 5th December for online submissions. So these are just some possibilities which are happening in the world, and it's to show people the whole realm of competitions that are available, of course. And if to find more competitions, you can go online and look at this musical chairs. You can Google musical chairs and you can see piano competitions, contests, and various options, various dates, and various places. And due to COVID, most of these competitions are online, or the selection rounds are online. And this I found on Facebook, the International Classical Music Competitions and Events. And if you're on Facebook, you can see all the posts of all the different types of competitions that people can look into, and they can look into the criteria, the repertoire, the time, and so on, and to decide if they would like to take part. Just to share with you one very interesting girl whom I know personally. So how do people actually get there from really young, and they grow and they become like big names? They don't become so overnight. I know this girl when she was just 12, which was 5 years ago, and she's now 17. Her name Eva Gevorgan. Well, she's a Russian girl. So I know her when she was 12, and she was attending music festivals, and she played in a master class, and she played something really difficult. And she had the master class, master class leader, she gave a very harsh comment actually on her playing that was not, up to the level of expectation, because she was playing something really difficult. But it is understandable, because at her age, at 12, to play like Chopin etudes and big works like this, I mean, it's very, very commendable. And I followed her because, the mom, Kenza, is my friend, and this girl, the mother groomed her, and she has gone through many competitions, and every year she's always winning a first or a second prize all the way, and today she has got through the second round of the Chopin competition at the age of 17. I mean, if you just like watch her on YouTube, you Google her Chopin attitude, it's just amazing. I mean, I don't think a lot of people can play like that, even professional pianists, you know. So how do people get there? It's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of effort, and it's not without sacrifices, you know. So, well, of course, this is just the other spectrum of things. But if we just look at something simply, so how and what competitions are all about? Okay, we need to understand how competitions work. You know, of course, there will be an entrance fee for people to take part. They have to pay, and then they have to submit, you know, possibly video for selection. And so the rules and regulations would specify certain repertoire requirements, whether you need to play an etude or you need to play Beethoven sonata, or for younger kids, how many minutes do you have to play, what kind of repertoire, do you need a study, or do you need a Bach, or do you need a classical work, or do you need a 20th century work? So competitors actually invest quite a lot of time to practice, to prepare. Yeah, some of them have multiple teachers. They attend various master classes. They consult professors of, you know, various standings, and also they would include all that investment in terms of traveling to the competitions, preparing, recording, and so on. The people would go for very professional recording by the studios, and so just a home recording, and they will make sure that the mic, the sound equipment, the visual equipment are all of the top condition, and, you know, prospects will be good. And so different competitions have different expectations. Some competitions are easy and they are encouraging for lots of people to take part, and these competitions would encourage a lot of participants. And well, sometimes we also, there are of course controversial opinions of whether these competitions are real, because, you know, it's just going too big and too many people taking part. But let's not go into that. So let me just go on to look at realistic and authentic competitions. So if we were preparing for competitions, we would like to identify the suitable competitions. If you go through the list on the website, you can shortlist those competitions that match up. If you are a teacher, to prepare the students, you can match up to their ages, to their abilities, you know, whether it needs a big repertoire or just a couple of pieces or just 10 minutes, whatever. And to consider in preparation for the students, the time frame towards the competition. Unless the students already now, you can't look for a competition that's taking part, that's like closing in 2 weeks, unless you have a really ready program. Otherwise, you will need a few months at least to get things in place. The time frame would be, you know, to look at something at least 3-6 months or even a year ahead, depending on the intensity of the competition and where it will be held, whether it is going to be online or it's going to be live, and whether you have the time to travel, to go with the student, you know. And so at the same time, to consult the teachers whether this is a suitable competition for the child, because at the end of the day, it is not playing for friends or playing for a concert. It is quite intense, and so a competition needs to be prepared very thoroughly with a music teacher, a professor, and with various consultants, you know, if the competitor is really serious about it. Well, and at the same time, I mean, I have pictures here, you know, usually the competitions will advertise who the jury members are, where they're from. And it's important to find out, because by knowing the background, we will know how difficult the competition is going to be, or how serious, you know, the competition is going to be, and who are the people who will be attracted to the competition. So we don't want a situation whereby someone prepares for a competition that is too competitive or too intimidating. And one of my judges will call it, we're not going to a bloodbath, you know, we're not going to kill, that sort of thing. So there got to be a balance of what kind of competition we want to encourage our students to take part in, and what do we want to expect from these competitions. So let's go to the choice of repertoire. Do not look at a competition requirement and say, oh, I got to learn this, or I got to prepare Scarlatti Sonata now. It's kind of too late. Unless the student it's really, really good. It takes time to prepare for competition. So it is better to look at the competitions with already ready pieces and try to match the repertoire to fit students' learning and the pieces that have already been mastered or played in some concert or some performances, whereby the student is ready to take it to another level. So that would be a good way to think about the repertoire. And of course, the mentality towards competition. We do not go into a competition just wanting to win or expecting to win, because that will be very, very disappointing. There are a lot of costs involved, there's time involved, there's effort involved, there's opportunity costs, sacrifices, like, you can't go out and you have to stay in and practice for many hours, and then you have to record, and then you have to, get this right, get that right, and you have to be in a good frame of mind, and you have to have the energy and, the strength and the mental focus. And then, schoolwork will have to maybe be at the side for a while, and other activities, you just can't proceed with them if you are committed to a competition. And so a lot of efforts are required. And the thing is, everyone is putting those efforts. It's not just you alone, I mean, personally, I have taken part in competitions in my life, and similarly with my jury. And all of us have gone through the grill and all the hard work and all the disappointments and all the upsets and all the emotional upheavals and all the, thinking post-competition. Is this for me? And is my life going in the right direction? Is this going for my career? Am I doing the right thing? Or, oh no, what have I done to my life? Why am I doing this? So there are many things that people have to overcome in the process. It's quite different from learning for exams or learning just for leisure. So we have to look into also the dates of the competition, the schedule, the preparation, and of course to bring out the best strength. It's like all out, so competition is like gearing, for people who do the Olympics, they do it once in 4 years and they train all their lives all the way there for just that. So I think there is some misconception sometimes when people think that competitions are just for everyone. I don't think so. So remember, everyone who chooses to compete is very good. Almost everyone. I mean, if they have taken exams, if they've gotten their distinctions, they feel they're good enough for a competition. So every distinction who is capable of doing it will want to take part. So there are many participants, and many of them are not just good, they are experienced. They have been competing for a long time. And some of them is like countless competitions. They just go one after another. They just sign up for one after another, and they push that way. And the people, the mentalities of people who compete are quite different. We're talking about the genuine competitors. They're quite different. They're very goal-oriented, and they know what they want. So, we will see pictures of people like this, and they've got their photo shoots, they've got everything at the back of their lives to support that part of their pursuit. So, what if it is the child's first competition? I mean, what would be the reasons? What would be the intentions? If it is the first competition, it is best to take it a little easier and not expecting very much. And if it is the first international competition, perhaps the child could have gone for international master classes or some festivals to get the exposure, to get a feel of how other people in other countries and continents are performing and pursuing and learning, and to kind of have the idea of the same age group, what they actually do, and to talk to people, to talk to teachers, musicians, and get ideas on, how to move on onto the platform of competitions. So that will be a rightful competitive spirit, and to get all this international exposure, it is important and necessary. So that much for that part of competition. So what is the difference between the competition and exams? Because in our region, Singapore, Hong Kong, Malaysia, and even in Australia and different parts of the world, and in the UK, a lot of people have children growing up on the examinations, and particularly the ABRSM, as well as the Trinity College examinations. So we are so familiar, and I myself, of course, also grew up on the ABRSM, and we're so familiar with those exams. We need to play scales and pieces and oral and sight reading, and it's really musicianship. And if we make the mark, we get a merit or distinction or a high distinction, and yeah, we're happy with that, and then we proceed to the next grade. This is from the ABRSM website. It says that, well, basically exams provide progressive levels for achievement. They're not like competition is just one project. For exams, we have graded levels, so you can move in a progressive manner. So according to the ABRSM, the aims, of course, is to provide an effective and reliable way to motivate learners. And there's a syllabus. You don't have to really plan a repertoire, but you just use pieces from the syllabus, and A list and B list and C list, and you just choose the pieces that suit the child's technique, style, and personality for the exam. And that becomes a goal and an objective. And usually in the grading of the exams, the examiners will comment on technique, on musicality, on expression, dynamics, articulation, and all those elements which are important for learning music and to attain a good result. So all the students who take exams and teachers who prepare them will develop these skills in the students to have the ability to read music, to play with enjoyment, and to play in style of the various composers. And of course, if they are fluent and they are good, they get an extremely good result. So then what's the difference between competition and examinations? Well, as I mentioned, the examinations, they provide graded level goals, and there's a structured syllabus. And the child is assessed by one examiner. Well, in some diploma examiners, 2 examiners. And the comments are marked based on the skills and the ability. And the great thing is there's no age limit. You can be a grade 1 at 6, or a grade 1 at 4, or a grade 1 at 20, or a grade 1 at 50. It doesn't matter. And that's a good thing about the exams. It's open to everyone. And of course, there are additional tests. And so it develops musicianship. And then you're graded on a pass, merit, and distinction, which gives you a sense of the level of achievement. Competitions are different. It is a targeted project. It's just one thing that you have to do, and you have to focus on the rounds. And there are specific requirements which may not suit every child, every student, every culture or background. They may require certain specific composers, like maybe a Spanish work, or maybe just certain requirements, or 20th century work that is post-1945 or something like that. So it's not necessary works for everyone. And then the difference is it is marked or graded or judged by a team of jurors. And this team of people usually are of really diverse backgrounds. Whereas in the British exams, the British examiners have a standard way of marking. But for competitions, the jurors are from everywhere, different countries, especially in international competition, different backgrounds, different ages, and some of them are not educators. They are performers, they are jury, they don't really teach that much. So there's a difference there. And then the comments may also differ, because some of the jurors may just give a line or two, some may give more comments to help performers, and some may even just write in their own language because they are not proficient, say, in English. So in some competitions, Russian judges are just writing in their native language, and competitors will actually have to find interpreters, to translate the comments for them. And then in the competitions, it's all performance-based. It doesn't matter, whether you have oral skills or not. And in some competitions, you don't just play a piano. You may even be required to play accompaniment or play an ensemble, or even in the big finals to play concertos. And of course, the marking schemes, it can be like nothing. You can walk out of a competition with nothing, maybe just a certificate of participation, and you may not win any awards. And from one competition to the next, it can be extremely disappointing, and it may not work for people who are expecting something. And there are people who have been through a number of competitions, not even getting the first round, like 5 competitions in a row before they get in the first one. So that's how the situation has been for a lot of people. So do we therefore encourage students to take part in competitions? Well, for amateurs, and we're talking about students now, so if the students have been getting high distinctions, and it's like, other than just going to the next grade or the higher grades, I think competitions will offer them the opportunities to further their skills development, to push them harder. Like we have students who took exams, did very well, but for the competitions, they have to re-record their pieces. They have to play them even better and record them for the competition. So the competition actually pushes the students ahead, and then they can compete with people around about their age group, and they can measure themselves to see how they perform. So competition can provide a form of motivation for people to just do beyond exams. And of course, if competitions are live and even online, you can meet up with people, you can make friends, you can get to know people. I get to know Sarah, due to my competition. And there are many, many people that we can network with, and we can learn from, and we can know, and we can share. So for the older, let's say late teens and going to their 20s, they may want to pursue music, and they, beyond just attending college and passing the exams, many of them join festivals and competitions to stretch themselves and to provide, where these competitions provide a platform for them to perform their works under a very intense atmosphere. So these avenues actually help people to develop artistic expression. So beyond that, competitions become an opportunity for them to really stretch, because other people are also stretching themselves. So you can see and you can think about how to play things better than just scoring points in exams. So I would say embrace the differences, learn things differently, be prepared to accept the results. Bear in mind, almost all the competitions, the participants put their best foot forward. There are very few actually mediocre people who just want to go into competitions for experience. Many of them put very intense effort, and they have to forgo a lot of priorities in their lives to be in those competitions. So, last of all, just to round up, preparation is the key to be very prepared for the competition. Whatever the results, try not to take it too hard, but rather find out what you didn't do, or you did, or the things that other people did, you didn't do, and if you were not successful. And you can learn a lot from that. And perhaps what was the overall standard? You know, sometimes we are living in our own cocoon and we think, oh, well, we are great. And, you know, even we prepare our students, they are doing very well for exams and we think we're great. But on the competition platform, it's like, oh no, everyone is so good, you know. So it is quite pointless to think about competition, especially international competitions, if the efforts are not to the best possible. We're talking about putting the best possible. Okay, and if anything goes not as expected, don't just mull over it, just move forward with more enthusiasm. You do better the next time. So it's okay. Well, I more or less covered that. So thank you for listening to me for the past couple minutes, maybe half an hour if I've done that. And if you have any questions, and if Sarah would like to speak. Yeah, I can't hear you.
I'm trying to figure out how to spotlights myself. Oh, well, my voice can be on the live stream and not my face. That's probably better anyway. I'm not dressed anywhere near as beautifully as Josephine is today. I just wanted to sort of ask a question as well as add something. And the thing I wanted to add is I think and you sort of hinted at this, but when we go into a competition, there might be 5 that are so close, and it can be really hard as adjudicators to go, well, we actually have to rank these people. And so there is a level of subjectivity, and even in exam marking, we go, oh, we've got to rank this person as being, you know, is it going to be 25 out of 30 or 24 out of 30? And just trying to debate that, because it's subjective in so many ways, and particularly in competitions where, oh, this person did brilliant at the musicality, but this person did brilliant at the technique aspects, and trying to decide which is weighted more. So I think that's one thing, is that sometimes parents forget in a competition that just because you didn't get 3rd place doesn't mean actually you were worse than the person who got 3rd place. It's just that it has to be ranked. So that's my thought. My question is, so in an exam, we're not marked on what we wear, we're not marked from the moment we walk in the room. In a competition, are we marked from the moment we walk onto the stage? And therefore, what sort of things do we need to worry about our deportment in a competition?
Well, I think, not that I know people being marked on the deportment actually, like, you know, how they walk on stage, but certainly it does affect, even in exams. You know, even students who come in and they are not confident, it shows, and it will affect the marking. But I think you brought up a very good point about ranking. Well, I agree with you, because I myself have been an adjudicator, and I always find it so difficult. I cannot tell the difference between someone 85 or 88. You know what I mean? And so I realized my personal strength is in performance and teaching and in organizing events, but not in judging. But there are people, jury people, they are good at judging. They know, I mean, it's their strength. And that's why they are on a board of adjudicators, because they are good at how to judge from one to the other. Well, of course, there will still be subjectivity. That is something that is always in the music, in arts, even in beauty pageants, you know, in singing competitions. And it's a matter of, like they said, whether the judges like you. So it's also a matter of the culture, you know, whether it comes from a certain culture that they have certain expectations. I mean, when we hear this great story of Pavlovich, you know, Marta Argerich in judging the competition, she walked out of the semifinals because the person that she likes doesn't get into the finals, you know, and it makes big news until this very day. And she doesn't want to judge in competitions anymore. And Horowitz doesn't want to judge in competitions. And seriously, myself, I don't like to judge in competitions because, you know, we don't. Some of us don't have the talent to judge. but we have our tongues to do other stuff. So the thing is, when it comes to subjectivity, I think we all have to embrace that. So it will not be so difficult if we look at competition as a way of progressing ourselves in teaching, and for the students and for the parents, it's for progressing them further and faster, actually, in the path of learning music. Because competitions can be so, make you practice so many hours that you become instantaneously good, like in 2 weeks because of the competition. And we have seen students who progress like that. And also, it builds their confidence. It develops, their personality. So for those people who come on stage looking confident, it doesn't happen overnight. It has been a process and a progress that they made. So that is also something that doesn't just diminish at all. I mean, Greg Can is like Trifonov, they all played in competitions with all their hearts and soul. So it's something that, the younger people can emulate.
I figured out how to spotlight.
Great.
My other question is, so I've decided that I want to put some students in a competition, but I feel that the parents are having an unhelpful focus on winning. And so I guess the question is, as a teacher, how should we help prepare? So you've told us that these are values that we should go in expecting that, particularly in the beginning, that we really don't have a chance of winning until we've developed those skills. But how do we explain that to the parents and students, or how do you explain that? And then how do you help them process when they didn't win?
I think one of the things is not to put too much focus, like, you have to win this competition. I think it's the mentality that we put on them. If we were to say, you're very good and let's take part in the competition, then we're not saying like anything about winning, and we're saying like, this will help you to become better. This will help you to prepare for the exam better. Because there are some students, they took part in the competition with their examination repertoire. And then after they have taken the competition, they have taken part in the competition, they went for the exams. And they can actually do exceedingly well for the exams. And there are also students who took examinations. I mean, we have students who got like distinctions with diploma and so on and so forth. And that's like making them too complacent. So we go like, how about a competition and you play this repertoire and see where you get? So, that gives them a different goal. But we don't emphasize that you have to win a competition, or you must win and you must get somewhere. I think and I think parents shouldn't incentivize their children by saying, if you win this, I'm going to give you XYZ, or something, because then the motivations are incorrect. So of course, in our competition, we try to encourage everyone by not ranking so hard on the first, second, third. So we do give a benchmark for gold, for silver, and for bronze. So it's similar somewhat to exam, whereby there are more people who are able to get a medal if they make the mark. But at the same time, if they don't make the mark, because we do have, in competitions, we do have strict judges, and we would like to have certain standards established. And then it becomes a problem if parents cannot understand the difference between the exams and the competitions. And then they start to expect like a similar reward in the competitions, and when they don't, they get extremely disappointed. And that can be quite difficult to handle.
So what would you say to the parent who's come to you and is obviously trying to put so much pressure? How do you diffuse that?
Well, actually, in our competition, we offer master classes. So what happened in the master classes is that after the competition, the jurors actually watch the videos of the people who sign up for master classes, and we offer them lessons on improvement, on why they have not made it for the competition and how they could have done better. So it's a way of, well, it's natural to be disappointed. It's natural to be upset. I mean, it's strange if someone doesn't feel upset, right? I mean, you come in a competition and, oh, I didn't make it, so that's fine. Well, I don't know. Especially for people who really put the effort, they will feel upset and disappointed. You know, they won't be able to sleep or eat or something, and they will have a hard time. But I think it is one of those things in music that we learn to be able to handle all the ups and downs, the learning cycle. It's not so simple. There's the disappointments. I think it's what make musicians the true one that evolved over time and in the world. So art in itself is not easy. Music, dance, nothing is that easy. And the disappointments are there. And these are some things that they have to know why they're learning music. It's to develop character. It's to help people overcome difficulties. And I think that's a lot more to it than just competing or scoring marks or winning prizes. So the values of music, I think, goes beyond just these things.
Thank you. Now, I'll just invite anybody is welcome to ask a question. So just a reminder that if you speak, your face might be shown on the live stream. And if you want to ask a question but don't want to speak, you can put it in the chat. So does anyone have any questions for Josephine?
You're welcome. Don't be shy.
It looks like you covered everything so well, Josephine, that
Well, I just tried.
it was one of the amazing things about these sessions is I invite someone to speak. So I think they have information that might be useful to our membership of our group, and the way Josephine approached this and talking about the different competitions and until this day I didn't really actually think there was any benefit to being in competitions. So I'm so glad that I've really come to see, yes, there can be. And I think for me, it was, well, everybody can make music and it's so beautiful to make music. And so I don't like the idea of the disappointment side of it, but I like the idea that they can see that they can get this inspiration to, that's what I want to aim for. That's what other top musicians are doing at the moment in my age bracket and in my age bracket. And so this gives me that opportunity to not be I don't know if it's an English expression, but we say a big fish in a small pond.
Oh,
and sometimes in your own music studio, you're the best teacher, you're best student of your teacher, but in a competition, suddenly you're competing against lots of best students of their teacher.
Yeah.
So I think that's really beneficial, particularly for those who wish to take music further as a career. Now, Josephine, there is a question from May, and it says, for the free choice category in competition, is it less advantageous to choose popular pieces?
Is it less, sorry?
So the question is, if we're to perform in a competition where we choose a popular piece that the jury is very familiar with, is that a disadvantage?
Well, if you play a popular piece well or differently, or just in a way no one has heard it being played before, that would be something very different. But if you play a popular piece and it's like everybody else, or it's not what is expected, how the piece should sound, then it's actually a bad choice in that sense. I mean, in the competition, for example, we heard a few people played the first movement of the Beethoven Pathetic Sonata. So the Pathetic Sonata is a popular piece. And we heard like a few different versions. And each version is just as good as the other version in a different way. So that was amazing, because we no longer judge or listen to the piece like another Pathetic Sonata. But it was like, wow. That's something. So it is possible to play a popular piece and play it really differently and really well, and really impressive. And we've seen that.
Thanks, May. That's an excellent question.
Yes.
And for those who've just joined, if you have any questions you want to put in the chat before we wrap up for the evening, go for your life. This is your opportunity. I'll check Facebook as well to see if there's no questions there. You really have covered so much, Josephine, and covered it with such clarity and such good order. This is really on behalf of everyone here and everyone who's going to watch the video during my night when they're not working. I want to thank you really for putting competitions in perspective, to introducing us to a range of competition options and the international versus local, and yeah, I just want to really thank you. This has been very, very informative. And
you're most welcome.
So
just to round up, for JU Music, we are an events company, so we shall be organizing the Beethoven International Piano Competition possibly by next year, and we also have concerto opportunity for students and for performers as well. They can audition, and that's also for next year. And just as Sarah mentioned just now, for those people who like to have ABRSM examination pieces, alternative works, I have my collection, which is the Teacher's Choice Repertoire, Piano Repertoire and Studies. And so in there, you can have...
where are they available, Josephine? Where are they available if we wanted to purchase those?
Oh, okay. I think in the UK, it's sold by Hal Leonard. It's on the Sheet Music Plus website. It's on Amazon. It's also on our website. And these pieces can be used also for competitions as well as the upcoming examinations. So we would like to offer more repertoire for people to play. Of course, the value of music, again, as I said, goes beyond the exams and the competitions.
Mm-hmm. And there is a question from the Facebook live stream, and Garima asks, can you recommend any easy competitions for young pianists who are just getting into it, just so that they can get a feel for competitions?
Okay, there's a golden classical music competition, and that is in New York. It opens up for very many ages, free repertoire, and it's easy to take part, and they are very encouraging, and they even provide a platform for winners to play at the Carnegie Hall. And that is like a very, very big competition. I think it's called the Golden Classical Music Competition. Of course, I also put up just now on my slide, if those of you who joined a little bit later, just let me get to my slide. Honestly, the Piano Talents competition here in Italy, now it's online, so it's good. Well, I know the people there. They have been doing for many, many years, and many, many talented pianists have gone through their hands, including myself, actually, when I was young. Yeah. So I think this is well recommended as well for people to take part. Of course, those people who are in this region, if you are still interested, we will be running the JU International Competition for Young Pianists next year in 2022.
Can you, just before we finish, can you explain what is the process? Like you said, the competition also includes masterclasses. So is that normal, that a competition is like a multitude of events?
Well, some competitions are just competitions, like Chopin competitions, just competition. But some competitions include like a festival, so it's like master classes. So that is more helpful because students can take part in the competitions, and then the outcome of the competition, they can have master classes with the jurors, and they can have lessons, and that actually provide the exposure for a lot of people to learn beyond just from their teachers and from someone neutral and of a much higher standing. And sometimes the association and the networking can lead to a lot more things in the future. Because I myself, when like 20 years ago, I took part in a competition in Italy. One of the jurors was Natalia True. She was a winner in the second prize of the Tchaikovsky International Competition. And I was like thrilled, thrilled. And to this very day, she's one of the most high-standing music teachers in the world, and who produces all the outstanding competitors. And it's just wonderful to have the experience of knowing someone, and by talking to them and learning from them, and I had masterclass from her. It was just opening my mind to a lot of things, which why it led to what I'm doing nowadays and today. So all the experiences do accumulate over time, and it is certainly wonderful, for all these people to share their knowledge with younger people. And so we're also trying to do that now.
Well, Josephine, thank you so much for giving your time tonight.
You're most welcome, and thank you for the invitation.
A very interesting presentation. So if don't unmute actually, because then your faces will be on the live stream. But if we could give a round of applause to thank Josephine for coming tonight.
Welcome.
And thank you, everybody. And we'll see you all next time, next Monday, or on Facebook. So have a good day, night, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.
Good to see you.
Night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.